I'm Stephanie Gellman, the product manager of our online leads program at Royal LePage Canada. And today we're going to go over what you need to do to close more online leads. Okay, so let's dive right into it. We are going to specifically look at who are online leads and what do they need. Then we'll go over why you want to respond as quickly as possible and tools that are available to help you do so. Then we'll look at persisting in follow-up with your leads and nurturing engagement with value added and tools that we can use to do these. We'll wrap up the session with tracking your pipeline of opportunities and assessing the value of your online lead sources. Okay, so let's get into it. Start off with some general definitions. What is online lead generation? Really, it's the term that we use for attracting prospective clients to our services using the internet and then capturing their contact information for follow-up. Examples of lead generators can include things like insurance quote forms, coupon registrations, newsletter sign-up pages. Okay. rlpSPHERE has been optimized for lead generation. Lead management is everything you do once you've received that lead to capitalize on the opportunity and earn a new client. It's the process of building a relationship and nurturing online leads that you've attracted, ultimately with the goal of converting them into clients. Examples of lead management can include insurance quote calls, emailed coupon codes, and continued digital newsletter messages. rlpSPHERE sends you leads directly from the website. Taking this training will position you to maximize the opportunity. Because online leads are a great way to get the edge on the competition. Because really, sometimes what you're doing is accessing clients before they're ready to become clients. Remember, they may not buy a place today, but they will buy something someday. And when they are ready to, you want them to be coming to you. So how do we make sure they come to you? How do you keep their attention while they're figuring out their purchase timeline? You use a continuous nurturing plan. And we've created those for you in rlpSPHERE. They are called SMART campaigns. And I tell you, the people who use them, they know that they work, okay? Because they save you time, they increase your chances of success because they're based on proven best practices, okay? They really do make you more productive and more profitable. Okay, but let's take a little step back and go over some general principles of who online leads are. Typically, they're further from transacting. They will often need anonymity. They submit multiple leads across multiple websites. They expect a quick response, and they expect valuable information that relates to their inquiry. So let's look at each of these in detail. Depending on the source, online leads can be 6 months or more away from transacting, okay? And sellers often consider putting their home on the market for about 5 months before they actually list it. So because many online leads are further away from transacting, they often desire anonymity. They're just not ready to speak to an agent yet. And they especially do not want to be sold to. They want information, okay? So because of this, they'll sometimes omit a phone number, or they'll use a fake name or maybe only initials. But as long as the email is valid, we should always consider them a real lead and work them accordingly. Impatient people will think that leads are flaky and not serious if the lead doesn't want to transact right away, or if the lead doesn't reply to the messages, okay? But it's not that they're flaky and not serious, it's just that they need more time. So we always need to be patient and persistent when working online leads. They're most likely to convert. And when we say convert, we usually mean reply to your message somewhere between the second, okay, and 12th contact attempt, but sometimes it takes even more time. So lead incubation is the process of maintaining regular contact and seeding the lead with information to encourage action. Lead incubation is important to getting the best return on your efforts. Lead incubation is also known as lead nurturing. What else do we know about online leads? So I said before, they often submit multiple leads across multiple sites. So we have, Royal LePage, but we also have realtor.ca. You may have brokerage websites, all kinds of places. And competition for online leads can be especially high in larger cities, okay? Prospective buyers fill out 3 to 4 lead forms on average, and anywhere between 35 and 50% of the sales will go to the first agent who responds. So that's why a quick response is so vital to your success. Now, more about the quick response. Did you know, and this is so embarrassing to say, did you know that 48% of online leads are never responded to? Okay, and that the average response time for the ones that are replied to is 15 hours, okay? But we know you're 100 times more likely to qualify a lead by responding in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes, nevertheless 15 hours. Now, lastly, while a fast response is great, you need to make sure you're providing quality information to your leads and reaching out on a regular basis. People are very educated these days, and they can easily find out a lot of information on their own. They need you to provide them with information they can't find otherwise. Your responses always need to communicate value and demonstrate your expertise, because your goal is to build trust. When you build trust, you earn a client. The average close rate for online leads is 1% or less, okay? And that may sound sad, but that's because of the typical behavior I mentioned earlier about how half of leads are not replied to, and the ones that are replied to wait 15 hours on average to get a response. People who manage and incubate their leads using systems enjoy close rates in the 4 to 6% range and higher. Agents who do this really well achieve double-digit conversion rates and close rates. So let's look into more details of how this can be done. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're ready. Before we even start working leads, we need to make sure that we are ready to do that, okay? So as one of the keys to converting and closing leads is about speed of response, we want to be prepared. First, make sure that you're searchable, okay? So your profile on rlpSPHERE that every one of you has should be completed to ensure that people can find out more information about you if they desire, because it will be the first or one of the first things that will show up when your lead Googles you, and they will Google you, okay? Secondly, are you making it easy for people to reach out to you? So make sure that your direct contact information is available in your email signature. Then, are you ready to respond? The rlpSPHERE smart campaigns, they help you reach out immediately to your leads and over time, 90% of which is automated, okay? So make sure you've reviewed their content and turn these on. Let's look at each of these points in a little more detail, okay? So a completed profile allows people to validate that you are a real estate professional. So make sure you have your agent photo, an up-to-date photo, your correct contact information, website and social media links, and most importantly, your professional experience statement. This is where you differentiate yourself from everybody else. Now, if you don't know how to complete your profile, there's a video in the RLP network in the training area, new to Roy LePage, or you can also reach out to customer care for help. I'll have their contact information displayed at the end of this session. Okay. Email signature. Make sure you have a completed one on your desktop, your CRM, and your phone, because oftentimes these three things don't interconnect. So you need to make sure that you've completed them on each application, okay? A complete signature includes your full name and title, direct phone number, email address, brokerage details, as well as links to any relevant social media accounts. Okay, so we've ensured your online presence is looking good. Your signature is complete. Now let's look at the three main principles to closing more online leads. That's speed, persistence, and value. Not much more than those three things. Let's look at these in more depth, okay? Responding quickly. Let's talk about why it's important and then how you can automate it so you can make use of systems to do most of the work for you. People are so impatient these days. I don't know if you've noticed that. They expect a really quick reply from you, even when they don't want to answer you, okay? And if they don't get a quick reply, they're going to fill out another form and another and another and another. Remember, before I mentioned that they typically fill out multiple forms. When you respond fast, you stop them from doing that because they've been satisfied, okay? You're 100 times more likely to contact the lead by responding in 5 minutes versus 30. Now, while 5 minutes is best, always respond no matter how much time has gone by. Do not despair. If some time has gone by, do not write off a lead because it might be a little bit old. If you're slow with your reply and someone else contacts the lead before you, and because in their impatience, you know, they filled out another one of those forms, you still have a chance at success by sending them quality information and persisting with outreach over time, even if you don't get a reply right away. The winners in this equation use nurturing campaigns to automate their outreach. All right, I see a question. I typically wait for questions at the end, but this one is very relevant for this. If a lead has clicked on multiple sources and completed their contact details into multiple sources, do all the sales associates receive the client as a lead? Wouldn't that bombard the lead with multiple reps reaching out to them? Yeah, it could happen. Yeah, you know, it absolutely could happen. And then it is persistence usually that pays off. Persistence and value. So yeah, okay. Let's look at what is next. I was saying tools that you can use to help you, okay? So smart campaigns found in rlpSPHERE. You have access to dozens of these smart campaigns that when you activate them will automatically apply to your new leads. You don't have to do anything and do most of the outreach for you, okay? So to find those, and you can do that after this session, you can go into rlpSPHERE, the marketing session, and smart campaigns. Okay, and then you'll see them all in your My Library area. Now, being quick means leveraging templates and systems to make it easier. And this is how the best lead converting agents work. They follow scripts, okay? This is to ensure that following up is quick and simple and systematized so they can answer many leads over time. Okay, now after a while, you'll probably refine the various scripts and templates to make them a bit more your own. But when you're first starting out, follow the ones that are made for you because they are optimized for lead conversion. Okay, now if you're not using rlpSPHERE, if you're using another CRM, that's fine. Just make sure that it also has some sort of plan that you can use to automate tasks to help you convert more leads. Okay, now when you activate a smart campaign for online leads in rlpSPHERE, they provide the immediate reply to your leads, increasing your chances of success, right? Because it's going to stop them from filling out another form. So when the lead comes in with a phone number, they'll be sent this text immediately upon submitting a form on rlpSPHERE.ca. Hi, Bill, or whatever the lead's name is. Thanks for inquiring on the Royal LePage website. I need to confirm some details to make sure you get the right information. Do you prefer email, text, or a phone call? I'll be in touch shortly. Stephanie Gellman, Royal LePage. If they don't include a phone number, they'll get a similar email with similar content, okay? Now, what's extra great, so that's the immediate thing, and that satisfies the need for speed. But after the immediate messages, there are 6 months worth of touches, most of which are automated by the system, okay? More details on those touches coming later. So not all of your leads will actually answer your email or your phone call or your text messages. But if they do, you need to have the right attitude, because your attitude on the first contact helps reinforce that you are there to help them make an informed decision. So a few helpful tips. Come from a place of curiosity. Find out what this person really wants and why. What is their motivation? Be conversational, don't be salesy. Good idea is asking them if anyone is helping with the search, okay? This helps you identify on anyone who may be a key influencer in their life. When speaking with our lead, we want to respond with clarifying statements that ensure that we've understood what they've said. That also lets them know that we're listening. And following up with open-ended questions helps the information coming. The more you know, the more you can serve them, okay? We want to remember our qualifying criteria. So, you know, some qualifying criteria for a good lead, a hot lead, are ones that actively engage with us. They have identified motivation. They have an identified timeline, okay? These are the leads that we want to work the most with. And we really want to encourage people like that to come to the office and meet us in person, okay? Lastly, remember that a no is as good as a yes. There are some agents that feel discouraged when a lead tells them no, when you've asked them to meet in person or proceed to the next step. But remember that a no from a lead can mean that you can just move on to others and focus your time and energy where it is more worthwhile. So don't get discouraged if you hear a no. Now, if you had everything that you wanted from your lead and you're talking, actually, this is even before you're talking, these are your first steps that you want to do. We want to send people an introductory text, okay, just like we do with the smart campaigns. Then a quick call afterwards. We send a follow-up email that recaps what was discussed, and always provide value at every opportunity. We want to stand out from the crowd. Now, why start with a text message and then a call like pretty quickly afterwards? Well, most text messages, apparently 98% of text messages are read. And when someone pulls out their phone and they're looking at the message, they get a phone call, they're primed and ready to answer that, okay? Now, these steps are outlined in the smart campaigns for online leads found in rlpSPHERE, okay? So Once we've connected with our lead, remember to always log your outreach activities in your CRM, whatever CRM that is, and follow the next steps in your nurturing plan. All right. So we've gone over the importance of speed with the first reply. Now let's look at persistence through outreach and why it is so important. From the first contact attempt, there's really two ways a lead can go. Either the lead responded or they did not. And if the lead has responded, you should work with them using the tips that I provided before, to refine their criteria and provide them the information that they are looking for. If they did not respond, do not give up. Stay persistent, okay? And this is another one of the reasons why I recommend the SMART campaigns, because using them allows you to do over 25 touches over 6 months, okay? And this further increases your chances of getting a response. Now, I'm not just making this up. These are stats that are based on facts. So as you can see from this chart, the percent of contacted leads exceeds 90% after 5 follow-up calls. Now, unfortunately, most agents only make 1.5 attempts if they try at all, right? And it's understandable. You send an email, you make a phone call, you don't get a reply, so you don't do anymore. You don't want to be a pester, but you're not being a pester. You are optimizing your lead conversion. So persistence is important when it comes to optimizing our success. Now, if you are interested in more of these stats and information, wondering where this chart came from, it's from this great book called The Conversion Code. Okay, right here. Highly recommend that you read it. It is written by Chris Smith, in case you couldn't see that. Okay, so very good book, highly recommended. Let's carry on. rlpSPHERE system, it really does optimize your lead conversion. So what do I mean by that? Well, all the leads that you accept from Smart Leads, okay, so these are leads that come in from rlpSPHERE, they're automatically entered into your CRM. You don't have to do anything, no manual entry. Then when activated, the Smart campaigns will automatically apply to your leads. Now, Roy LePage offers rlpSPHERE. Like I said, it's so comprehensive. There's a lot in there, okay, and you don't need to use all the parts of it, but you do need to use the CRM part, okay, and the Smart campaigns, because it automates your workflow, help you align all your marketing efforts and messages, and make sure that each lead is properly nurtured, okay? So if you don't know what a Smart campaign is, let me explain it briefly. You can think of them as a mix of action plans and drip campaigns, okay? So they consist of settings and actions are things like tasks, emails, texts, phone calls, status updates, and status are when those things happen. And vast majority of what's in a Smart campaign can be automated by the system, okay? All the campaigns that we made in rlpSPHERE are CASL compliant. So that's Canada's anti-spam legislation. Very important that with your marketing efforts, you also follow CASL. We've done that for you. Also, they contain some beautifully professionally templated branded pieces, okay? So if you do nothing, okay, you still have over 90% of your outreach going to your leads because the system does it for you. Now, I'm not recommending that you do nothing, but just in case, the system has your back. Now, I know there's a lot going on this screen here. This is a summary of what happens in the campaigns for new online leads. We're not going to go into the details of it. The critical part for you to understand is that Out of 6 months, there are 5, count it, 5 tasks for you, the agent, to do. Okay, and these are the ones with the little asterisks beside them here, these guys. So on day 2, or on day 1, we got to do a custom email and answer their specific question after the system sent the immediate reply. And we're going to do a phone call, right? Like we said before, we call them, then we send them a recap email. Day 2, we're going to set people up on listing alerts, and we send them one more custom email. Then we sit back and relax for a bit, let the system do the work. Day 13, we remove them from listing alerts. This is part of the plan. Now you may say, why am I doing that? Because that action often gets a lot of replies. People have been enjoying the listing alerts that you've been sending them. And when you take that away, they reach out and they go, hey, Stephanie, I actually like those. Can you sign me back up on that? Then you're talking, okay? And then it goes on. Everything else is done for you. You don't have to do anything. Now, all of this is carrying on, assuming that the lead has not replied, okay? If the lead replies at any point from day 1 down to day 179, the campaign will remove, okay? And the auto messages stop, because the point of the auto messages was to get a response from them, okay? Yeah, and somebody was asking if the lead responds, will the system remove castle consent? No, the system will update castle consent, okay, as your, if they reply through the system. Now, if they don't reply through the system, like perhaps they called you, you will want to update it manually, okay? So double check as you're working with your contacts. Double check if the system's updated automatically based on their behavior. And if it hasn't, you have the option to update it manually. Awesome question. Okay. We've gone over the first 2 principles of closing more leads, speed, persistence, right? Speed and persistence. Now, the last key is to provide value, because we need to stand out from everybody else that's vying for our leads' attention. Providing valuable information, it demonstrates your knowledge, right? It shows the leads that you're there for their best interests and not your own, okay? So I mentioned before, one of the actions to do in the campaign is to set people up on search alerts, and really providing leads with the similar listings as the one that they asked about is so quick, it's so easy, and it shows people that you're doing something for them, okay? Other information that you choose to share with your leads is a reflection of your level of expertise. If you want to provide more value, send them something that makes you stand out from all the other agents out there. Some fun ideas are things like local events, home repairs. Some are fun ideas. You know, it doesn't always have to be salesy, and it doesn't always have to be real estate related. What's really important is that you are staying in touch, you are giving people something without asking anything in return, and you're showing what makes you unique, okay? We also always need to remember to see the bigger picture with our leads. What I mean is, especially when we're working leads that are for rental properties or leads that just don't transact for one reason or another, okay? We need to remember that it's not just about this one sale, okay? If you are able to connect and bring value by establishing trust via your outreach and your nurturing, you might get a referral or 2 out of the deal. I know an agent, as an example, who closed a condo rental for a college student, okay? And a lot of people don't like those kind of leads, but this agent was awesome. He was so great that he ended up selling 2 condos to their siblings and we'll be listing the father's home and helping him purchase a new place. Okay, so all of those transactions came from one little rental lead. Also with rentals, remember that almost all renters want to buy someday, okay? And when they're ready, you want it to be with you. So always treat every lead in the best manner possible, even the ones of lower monetary value. Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up. We will finish the session with some information about tracking opportunities so you know how to focus your time and energy and how to determine the profitability of your various leads. So there are a few different contact labels in rlpSPHERE, okay, and that's what we're going to go over because I want to make sure that you know what they mean. So what's really important as we work with people is updating their status. It's a really easy way in the CRM because then we can view people of different statuses to know how to focus our efforts, okay? So sphere, who is somebody that's labeled as a sphere? They're people who you know that may or may not be interested in real estate. I kind of think of sphere as like a bucket of everyone that I know, all right? And your neighbor, your old high school friend, everyone. Okay. Now there's your prospect. These are people that you've met or you've obtained their info from somebody else and you want to try to convert them into a new lead. They may not be actively searching right now, but your efforts want to be directed towards getting them to do so. New leads are people from Smart Leads. They're people who have signed up from your KV Core website because all of you as Royal LePage agents have a KV Core website, rlpSPHERE website, that you can use to generate your own leads. New leads are people who came from an ad, some other new online lead source, or someone maybe that you manually entered. An active lead. So the system does some auto updating. People who have replied to a smart campaign, they go from new to active lead. They are also auto updates to people who are older than a few days after signing up on your website and who are actively returning to it to view properties, okay? So the system knows when people are on your site and it flags it for you. So clients, it's kind of self-explanatory. These are people that you're actually working with. So you've done some showings, you're coming along, you're getting there. Contract, so that's if you have some kind of system, contract management system connected to your rlpSPHERE, that can automatically update when it knows of a transaction. Otherwise, you would do that manually when you've signed a BRA, for example. Closed is self-explanatory after purchase is closed. And then lastly, archive. And archive is kind of a trash bin. These are people that you don't intend to communicate with anymore. Okay, so some of these will be people, for example, whom castle consent has been revoked. They may just be people that you know it's not going anywhere because you can't delete contacts in rlpSPHERE. You archive them, okay? Now, I mentioned before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's really cool how leads with the RLP created online smart campaigns have the built-in auto updating. When the lead replies to the campaign's turned off. The status is updated from new to active lead, okay? And then if the lead never replies, the campaign automatically stops after 6 months. Consent is revoked and the contact is updated to archive. Now, even if you don't use campaigns, your smart leads will, after 6 months, have the consent revoked. But I don't believe the contact is archived. Okay, so that's something you only get when you use the smart campaigns. Okay, so that's the statuses. Now let's talk a little bit about money because that's what really matters. There's a couple of key metrics that you want to track. the number of leads received to the number of closed leads, okay? That helps you determine your close ratio. So if you close 1 for every 100 that you receive, you have a 1% close rate. Like I said before, managed lead programs, you can expect to aim for a 4 to 6% range, but this can take some time, so it probably won't happen right off the bat. And then ultimately, you want to track the average commission that you're earning from the lead source to determine the actual monetary value of that source, okay? And really, this is kind of a good general formula that you can use. If the average value of a closed deal generated from that particular source is greater than the cost of the lead times the number of leads needed to get one deal, then your online lead source is profitable. Okay. Okay. So you guys have been great, really patient. You know, we're at the end of the training. I can't believe we did it. I see that there's some questions in the chat that I'll scan through to see if I've missed anything or if they've all been answered. You know, I hope now you understand a bit more about the expectations of online leads, and that you know a few things that you can do to maximize your chances of success. Okay, and I will say it again, the SMART campaigns, they really, really work. People who use them have great success. Now, as a follow-up to the training, I will send you a recording of this session, okay, once I get it up on YouTube, probably later today, I expect. If you need help with anything rlpSPHERE, RLP Network, any RLP tech tools, you can reach out to our customer care team. Okay, so let's see what we have in here. I see a question about, are the campaigns customizable? Yeah, so Ainsley, the SMART campaigns that Roy LePage created, you can't edit them in and of themselves. What you will do is you will clone the campaign and then you can edit the clone, okay? So that's how you can make edits to any of the system built campaigns. You clone it and then you make your edits in there. One really cool thing to do is if you're gonna personalize, like especially the first message, throw in a link to your website. If you have a YouTube channel, throw in a link to that. You know, videos get a lot of opens, so those are all fun ideas to customize. But I will say, if you're not familiar with the system, don't go in and try to customize. Just turn things on and use them as is until you feel comfortable. Okay. Now, let's see, the book. Oh, Jenna, thank you very much. So the book that I mentioned, and Jenna put a link in there, which is great. Here it is. It's called The Conversion Code. It's by Chris Smith. As you can see, it's well worn. I love it. And yeah, it's a really great book. It's a couple years old and it's still incredibly relevant. Okay. Now, can we choose to extend the campaign past 6 months? Will the sales rep be informed of ending campaigns? I wouldn't recommend that you go against CASL compliance. Canada anti-spam legislation says that you have 6 months in which to market to an online lead if they're unresponsive. Okay, so if they're responsive and you're communicating with them, then you can keep sending them more pieces beyond 6 months. But with an unresponsive one, now you will find in rlpSPHERE, there are some campaigns made by KV Core that are available for you to use, and some of them last a year or two, okay? So they're there, but we certainly do not endorse it. And then with contacts that are not new leads, right? So contacts that are part of our sphere, or active leads, people under contract. I mean, all of those, you will probably want to go in and manually update the Castle contact. Like I said, a lot of it will update automatically, but I would double check. If you are actively working with someone, what you can do is change the Castle consent from implied, okay, because that's how it comes in, to express. And express consent basically means it lasts forever. So then you don't need to keep going in every 6 months and updating, that you can reach out to your regular contacts, okay? Perfect. Jenna, I saw that you raised your hand, but I'm not sure if you still have your hand up.
I do. I had a good question for you.
Perfect.
So what if someone reads all of my emails in the Smart campaign, but they never send me an email back? Does that mean that I can continue sending them stuff with Castle or no?
I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't feel comfortable replying or providing advice on that. But I do know that the campaign will consider them unresponsive. They're not engaging with you. So my gut tells me to stop after 6 months, but maybe you can ask for legal advice. What do you think about that? Does that sound about right?
I don't know. We have lots that actually open them all, but then they won't respond. So
Yeah.
that was where my question came from, is that we do have quite a few that they'll read all your emails, and then you hit 6 months and then you're out of luck.
Yeah, and I think really at that point you are out of luck. In the Smart campaigns, the very last message that goes out to the lead a couple days before everything is auto archived actually says to them, you know, like, hey, Jenna, I've been trying to reach you for the past few months. I haven't had a reply. Rather than bother you with unwanted emails, I won't be messaging you anymore. And there's an invitation to follow up if you want to continue conversing. So yeah, if they don't reply to that, I'm kind of certain that that's the end of that. Yeah. And you're right, Taylor. Email's not always the best way to contact them, right? We definitely want to do like texts and phone calls are great. Now, not all leads come in with a phone number, and when there isn't a phone number, that's when we're stuck with emails only. But absolutely, texts are highly read. Phone calls, you know, not as much. Interestingly enough, people screen their calls a lot. So anecdotally, I've heard that phone calls will often go directly to voicemail unless they really want to talk to you. But text messages, yeah, are a bit easier. All right. Well, folks, I'm sure you have many things to do today. Like I said, I will wrap this up, send you all a recording once it's up on YouTube, and then you can watch it over and over again till your heart's content, okay? Have a great day, everyone.